So about this corona. Unless you're Jared Leto on a 12-day meditation in the desert, you know about the coronavirus.
Worldwide now, the coronavirus taking a devastating toll. Confirmed cases now top 3.
Every which way that you turn, there's something mentioned about the virus. At this point, you have to turn off all technology and disengage from conversation to be completely relieved of it. But not before this video.
There's too many people on this earth. We need a new plague.
Well, this may go down in history as the plague of this generation. There is speculation on where this disease actually started. Trump calls it the Chinese virus. In response, the Chinese government tried to minimize their involvement by pointing the finger back at the US. And as usual, it only caused more finger pointing and name calling. Understandably, nobody wants to take blame for a life-threatening pandemic, but there are a few propositions that are gaining traction that not even Chinese researchers can deny. To understand where it came from, we need to understand what the coronavirus is.
Coronavirus. Any of a group of RNA viruses that cause a variety of diseases in humans and other animals.
Coronavirus is an umbrella term that describes the large family of viruses that can be found in people and many different animal species. You may have heard the term COVID-19. This describes a type of human coronaviruses, including some that commonly cause mild upper respiratory tract illnesses.
Well, now that we done got that out the way.
We can get back to where this all started. Possibly. Speculation is that the virus originated in a wet market in Wuhan, China. Wet markets are establishments that sell meat, fish, produce, and other perishable goods.
Yes. I'm warning you. I'm a police officer. Put the blade down and let the bird go right now.
The fact that people come into contact with so many dead and live animals, it makes the chances of a virus spread a lot more likely. Amongst the various species that wet markets have to offer, bats are... Ew. Okay. Bats are the supposed one of two culprits in all of this. You can't even say bat without the stigma anymore.
Guess what? Bet. Get the out of my office! Don't ever say that word again! Oh yeah? I'll say it if I want to! Dude, it's going on. I love Batman! Dracula! Ugh.
But you would think, why bats? Well, research has shown that bats are considered a delicacy in China. To Americans, this is a little extreme, but to countries like India, cows are considered sacred. So I'm pretty sure the fact that we eat beef here, it's pretty much an abomination. So no judgment here, China. It is possible that the virus then jumped to another animal. Culprit number 2, pangolins. I don't know if it's cute or ugly. These scaly anteaters are found in Asia and some parts of sub-Saharan Africa. They're prized in Asia and the use of their meat is a symbol of status. On the contrary, these poor babies are actually endangered and are banned from trade, let alone consumption. Unfortunately, pangolins account for almost 20% of illegal wildlife trading, putting them at the brink of extinction.
That is like so sad.
But people love to break rules, and honestly, this might be their karma. I put my money on bats. Bats pose more of a threat because they harbor a higher proportion of zoonotic viruses. They also fly to various regions, taking their diseases with them, and the way they pass their virus is through saliva and bowel movements. So suppose they poop and it lands on a fruit. Another animal may consume the infected fruit and become a carrier.
2 hours later.
I don't feel so fresh.
So, yeah. All in all, I've come to the conclusion that bats are some dirty Did you know they're also the source of Ebola, MERS, and the Nipah virus? Look, I know I said no judgment over here, but y'all just need to stop eating them. The coronavirus is spread via saliva or mucus droplets when a person coughs and or sneezes. When said droplets land on surfaces or objects that are touched by the hands of others, the virus will attach itself. Those who catch it subconsciously touch their face with their infected hands. And that is a simple yet consequential way you can catch COVID-19. Yes and no. When someone sneezes or coughs, the virus is airborne for a few seconds due to the saliva or mucus traveling from the body. But the travel of the virus is a very short distance before gravity forces it down. And that is how it lands onto surfaces and objects that we're innocently touching. But an aerosol, that's a different story. Aerosol is
a suspension of fine solid particles or liquid droplets in air or another gas. Aerosols can be natural or anthropogenic.
An example of an aerosol would be fog. Fog is water droplets that are suspended in the air. And those suspended particles can remain in the air for hours depending on factors like heat and or humidity. And if the coronavirus were, say, like measles, then it would mean that it was an aerosol and anyone passing through that pathogenic particle cloud could become infected. But it's not. The reason COVID-19 isn't suspected to be an aerosol is because we haven't seen a spike in the amount of transmissions. There would be a very different pattern in the amount of people affected and the way that they're being affected. If the virus were an aerosol, you'd be able to catch it from the people you share an elevator ride with. Fortunately, it is still possible to live with an infected family member and still not get the virus. But please be careful because your chances will be a lot higher than those who don't. Wash your hands. After you use the restroom, as soon as you get home from a long day out, or even when you see a sink. And if you're infected, self-quarantining is a thing. There is no vaccine or medication that prevents the virus yet, so the most logical strategy is to delay the impact of the disease by staying home. But don't worry, US doctors are keeping an eye on the virus and its biology, and vaccination trials are already underway as we speak. It's difficult to know how many cases have not been identified yet, but the virus has spread to over 100 countries around the world, that mainly being the Americas, Europe, and Asia. Of course, consumer spending is largely affected because people aren't leaving their homes, so retail and restaurants are suffering greatly. Gas prices are at an all-time low, the travel industry is reeling, and interest rates are now 0%. Yeah, you heard that right. Y'all better go refinance your homes. Elderly people. Reported illnesses range from very mild to severe, some of which have resulted in death. CDC Morbidity and Mortality Weekly found that 80% of those deaths were over the age of 65. The cases with the highest percentages of severe outcomes occurred in those over the age of 85. Those with pre-existing chronic illnesses such as diabetes, heart diseases, or lung disease are more susceptible to getting the coronavirus. Healthcare workers, specifically those who come into contact with patients with the disease. Those who come into contact with someone they know who already has the disease. Travelers going to or returning from affected locations. You're probably overreacting. Do you guys remember Y2K? People thought the world was going to end because of a computer glitch, so they started buying flamethrowers, stocking up on food, and building doomsday bunkers. President Clinton even had to appoint a crisis management expert to prevent a worldwide meltdown. That's more than I can say for our own president.
But you don't have to buy so much. Take it easy. Just relax. Just relax.
Okay.
I just want one pack. No, not one pack. Hold on. Take it away from them. Stop.
You need to get off this trolley now.
COVID-19 is not the deadliest virus known to man. Ebola, SARS, influenza, and measles have higher mortality rates. COVID-19 is only fatal for a small percentage of people. It's more likely to catch it and recover from it than it is to catch it and die from it. As of March 19th, more breakthroughs are being made to combat this virus. And this is only part of the positive discoveries that have been made to combat the virus. Read more here to see the rest of the list. This is the time to embrace solitude. Read a new book, spend time with your family or your roommates, binge on your favorite programs, learn something new on YouTube. We will probably never have another chance like this again anytime soon. Stay off of social media. Social media does more harm than it does help. It's crucial to keep a leveled head during this time of crisis. Social media has a lot more negative news that will make you feel like there's no end in sight. But there is. There always is. Stop listening to celebrities.
Like, yeah, people are gonna die. It's just terrible, but like, inevitable?
Oh, hey, what are you doing? Me too.
It's another distraction. A lot of them are bored in their privilege and are looking for any sort of attention, and they've even resorted to this.
Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. Living for today. Yeah. For greed and hunger.
Just stop. Check your mental health. Besides your immune system, your mental health is most important. Suicide prevention experts are hypothesizing that isolation and social distancing can trigger thoughts of suicide. Some of you may experience decline in pay, the loss of jobs, and even the loss of friends and family members. And it may leave you emotionally drained. It is normal to feel helpless and uncertain for the future, but please know this too shall pass. Do not beat yourself up for having these thoughts, and please seek professional help or advice from those who know and love you. Be wary of scammers. Don't click on links you don't know. Ignore online offers for vaccinations, drugs, or anything that claims to relieve you of COVID-19. There aren't any yet, so anyone claiming to have it is lying. Do your research when donating to charities, Kickstarters, GoFundMe accounts, and anything related. Please use the utmost discretion in dealing with outsiders and protect vulnerable people that may not be immediately susceptible to scams. If we don't turn this earth into an absolute wasteland, then here's what the future may have in store for us. Currently, I can tell you who's having a good year so far and who's not.
Before I end this video, I would like to remind you to consider the date of this video posting and remember that this is an evolving topic that may or may not deem this information valid in the coming months. Also, amidst the circumstances under which this virus may have originated, I ask of you to not let it dictate your attitude towards any community of Asian descent. Racism and discrimination will not be tolerated in my comment section. You will be blocked and you will be reported. Please remain respectful on and off social media at all times. God bless.